Welcome to the Beginner's Guide to Multiple Sclerosis, or MS. My name is Paul Lima. My website is paullima.com, paullima.com. So who is this video blog or podcast, if that's what you're listening to, for? This video blog or podcast is for you if you're newly diagnosed with MS, if you're a family member, friend, or acquaintance of somebody with MS, or if you just want to know more about MS, a bizarre and too often debilitating neurological disease. That's who this is for. It is a beginner's guide. I am not a neurologist. I am not a doctor. I am not a medical professional. I'm a writer, trainer. I've done a lot of research into MS. I will not be selling you any cures, silver bullets, whatever. I'm just going to tell you about MS, and I will show you an agenda in a second. First of all, allow me a bit of a rant to start, though. I know people with MS who are told by family members, friends, or acquaintances, it's all in your head. In other words, they don't believe you. They think you're faking it. They think your disease is all in your head. If you have MS, that is, you've been officially diagnosed by a neurologist with MS, and you've been told that it's all in your head, here's what you say. Yes, it is, and I have an MRI of the brain lesions to prove it. So MS is in your head, but not mentally. It is physically in your head. We'll talk a bit more about brain lesions, and the cause of MS as we go through this webinar. So here's the agenda for today's webinar or podcast. We're going to define MS, look at different types of MS, look at why MS is often called the Snowflake Disease, look at MS symptoms, what can be done about MS, very little, if I'm allowed to say that right now, MS in diet, MS in work, MS in relationships, and some final thoughts from me. Now, I am the author of everything you need to know about multiple sclerosis. Again, I've been a journalist, a writer for 35 years. I have MS, have had it for 22 years. So I did what writers do, write what you know. I wrote a book about it. Now, if you're saying, aha, Paul's doing this webinar just to sell me his book, Everything You Need to Know About Multiple Sclerosis, allow me to say, I can't give away the print, Kindle, or PDF books. However, sorry if you've seen watching the video broadcast, you saw a reminder just pop up on my screen telling me to record this video blog. Where was I? I can't give away the print, Kindle, or EPUB books of everything you want to know about MS. However, I'm not trying to sell you the book. If you email msandmebook@gmail.com, that's msandmebook@gmail.com, with the subject line MS PDF, I will email you free, no cost PDF of everything you need to know about MS. I'm not trying to make money on this. I've written a book about it. If you want the book, send me an email and I will happily send you the PDF. So let's start with MS defined. What the hell is MS? MS is a disease of the central nervous system that disrupts the information flow between your brain and your body. In MS, the body's central nervous system has damage called demyelination that interferes with nerve transmission. or transmission of information across your nerves. Myelin is an insulating layer or sheath around the nerves, including those in the brain, the spinal cord, the optic nerve. Myelin allows electrical impulses to transmit quickly and efficiently along the nerve cells. If the myelin is missing, you have lesions, and we'll talk a little bit more about lesions in a moment. If you have lesions, the electrical transmissions are interrupted. And if the electrical transmissions are interrupted, you have MS, maybe. And we will look in a moment at the diagnosis of MS, or how MS is diagnosed. So what the heck is a lesion? Lesions refer to an area of damage or scarring, sclerosis, in the central nervous system, and they're caused by inflammation that results from the immune system attacking the myelin sheath around the nerves. Why it does this, I don't know. We are not perfect beings. Sometimes our body eats away at itself, does things that it shouldn't do. Everyone with MS will get lesions with varying severity, sensitivity, varying number of lesions. About 5% of the people who are confirmed to have MS on the basis of other criteria do not show any lesions in the brain. So 95% of us with MS have lesions in the brain. But they have lesions probably in the spinal cord, perhaps on the optic nerve. They may have lesions that are small enough that they can't be detected by the MRI. So pretty much everybody has these lesions. Myelin is missing on nerves. So the signals through the brain to the body, from the spinal cord to the body, from your optic nerve to your eyes, are interrupted. So how do doctors determine if you have MS? And this is why you can legitimately say, yes, I have MS, it is in my head, I have the MRI to prove it. There's no simple test for MS. Nothing to give you a yes or no answer like a pregnancy test. Either you're pregnant or you're not. With MS, it's more difficult to determine. It's often difficult to diagnose because the symptoms of MS can be similar to the symptoms of other health conditions. I went to an eye doctor because I had this black patch over one eye, and he said to me, "Oh, you're going to have that condition for the rest of your life. Your eyes are weakening as you get older." 3 weeks later, it disappeared. Why? MS. MS symptoms sometimes come and go, and we'll talk about that as well in a moment. So tests used to rule out other conditions: a complete blood count or CBC test, blood chemistry, urinalysis, and often spinal fluid evaluation, known as a lumbar puncture or spinal tap. So you get those tests, and they might show, oh, you have condition A, B, or C. But if they come back and say you don't have any of these other conditions, then there's a good possibility you have MS. So your neurologist will probably then do an evoked potential test. Small electrodes are attached to your head, arms, or legs, and they measure the speed of messages traveling along your nerves from your eyes, ears, or skin. If the messages are slowed, it may be due to MS. So we do a series of tests to rule out other conditions, and then we start doing tests to rule in MS. The big one is the MRI, or magnetic resonance imaging. This test uses radio waves and magnetic fields to detect normal and abnormal tissues, and the MRI can spot irregularities such as lesions. If you've not had an MRI, some people find it not fun at all. I actually relax when I have an MRI You're shoved into a huge machine that makes a lot of noise as it's taking images of your head, your spinal cord, whatever the doctor feels he or she needs images of, and then they look at the results. So let's eliminate other diseases. Let's see if the transmission of messages are slowed. Let's bring it in for an MRI to see if you have any irregularities such as lesions. With that in mind, here's a bit about MS. MS is not contagious, it's not inherited, although some families have more than one person with MS. So there's some question, is MS passed down within the family? My family, and it's huge, on my mother's and father's side, I have 100+ cousins. I have all sorts of aunts and uncles. I'm the only one with MS. MS tends to hit people between the ages of 20 to 49, more often women than men, but both men and women get MS. Younger children and older adults are also diagnosed with the disease. So you tend to be between the age of 20 to 49. I believe I was 42 when I was diagnosed with MS. Worldwide, more than 2.3 million people have MS. In the United States, it's estimated that nearly 1 million people over the age of 18 are living with MS. Canada has one of the highest rates of MS per capita in the world. There's an estimated 77,000 Canadians living with this disease. The 300 million people live in the U.S. There's about 32 million people living in Canada. Now, there's some question as to why so many people in Canada have disease. Is it due to our northern location, lack of vitamin D in the winter? We're not sure. All we know is that a lot of people in Canada have MS. So MS, strange disease. It has multiple types. Clinically isolated syndrome, or one-hit exacerbation or flare. You go to the doctor, it's the first time they say it looks like you have multiple sclerosis, but you need multiple hits or exacerbations or flares for it to be called multiple sclerosis. Most people with MS have relapsing remitting MS, RRMS. The hits come and go, and I had that for about 15 years. Sometimes the hits would be somewhat debilitating. Sometimes it would be almost comical. I had a hit to my taste buds. Made everything taste like crap. You give me a drink of water, I'd say, did you go down to the swamp to fill this glass with water? Everything tasted like crap. But I could work. I was fully functional. I lost about 35 pounds, which I needed to lose. After about 6 weeks, the exacerbation or hit left, and my taste buds became normal. So for 15 years, I had hits that would come and go. Sometimes, like when I would have fatigue, it would be pretty bad. Sometimes my entire body would feel like it had fallen asleep. It would be numb or tingling. Come and go. They could last weeks, months, or a year or so, and then they can disappear for weeks, months, or a year or so. If I know anybody who has MS, what I wish for them is that they have RRMS with hits that seldom come and go for a long, long time. So another type of MS is secondary progressive, SPMS. The hits come and stay. I have that now. Perpetual headache, weakening of the legs. There's a fat chance that the headache's going to go away or that the legs are going to get any stronger. But Using my cane, I can still walk my dog. Thank goodness. When you have MS, you look for little blessings. I don't have primary progressive MS. I know some people with it. It's the least frequent form of MS, and I guess it's the worst kind. You get the hits, they get worse and worse over time. You tend not to get exacerbations like people have RRMS or SPMS, but your legs weaken. You go from cane to scooter to wheelchair. Your arms weaken. One person I knew couldn't even lift up a cup of coffee. The person I knew, he was in a wheelchair, was able to get himself in and out of the bed. And then as his arms weakened, he had to have somebody, a caregiver, come over to put him to bed. So those are the types of MS. It's different for everybody. That's why it's called the Snowflake Disease. Like snowflakes, no two people with MS are alike. But just like snowflakes have common elements, they're made from frozen water, for instance, MS has common elements, the demyelination, the lesions, for instance. But the way it manifests itself, just like every snowflake looks differently, everybody with MS looks different. Actually, there's a pretty snowflake for you. Very pretty, but that's not what MS feels like. MS feels more like a snowstorm. Feels like an onslaught, a blizzard. And it is worse for some people than others. And that's what you have to keep in mind if you don't have MS, just if you know somebody who has it. They may seem fine one day, they're in remission. The next day, they've been hit by a blizzard. If they have secondary progressive MS, they may feel like they're constantly being hit by a blizzard. That's the way I feel. I function as best I can while feeling like that. So, what are the MS symptoms? I think if you look at my image, the bottom left-hand side of the screen, you would say, hey, you look like a normal 65-year-old man. Yeah, if you saw me walking my dog, you'd see me with a cane, and you'd think, I wonder if you have hip or knee problems. People see the mobility issues. Oh, you're in a scooter, you have a walker, you're in a wheelchair. But you look rather normal. What people don't see is the base of the iceberg, the bladder issues, the bowel issues, the breathing issues, the depression. I'm not just talking about being depressed because you have MS. I'm talking about MS-caused depression, the dizziness and vertigo, which I have, which I really had for a while. In fact, doctors thought I had vertigo until they conducted a test for vertigo and said, oh, you don't have vertigo. Guess what? It was my MS, symptom of my MS. Some people with MS have flu-like symptoms, numbness, seizures, sexual issues, spasticity. MS, multiple sclerosis, is hard for me to pronounce the disease and some of the symptoms. Speech difficulty, swallowing difficulty, tremors, vision issues, weakness. There's something called optic neuritis that causes a lot of the vision issues. So MS is really the invisible disease. Here's a bigger list of issues: balance and dizziness. I have poor coordination, bladder or bowel dysfunction, cognitive impairment. People with MS call it brain farts. A couple of people I know have cognitive impairment, they can no longer work. Put them in a room with more than 2 people. If 3 or 4 people are talking, they can't follow the conversation. Depression, which I talked about. Fatigue, I had that early on. And I know people who don't have MS say, oh, I get tired too. No, when I'm talking about fatigue, I'm talking about, hey, honey, I think I need to lie down. Bang, blackout. I used to wake up after an hour with the cat sitting on my chest purring. It's almost like the cat knew I needed the company. I had blackout fatigue. Gait issues or difficulty in walking, optic neuritis. I've had, some people have it worse than me where they have major visual problems. Pain that moves around your body. I was thinking, now I'm 65, I was thinking, oh, I wonder if I need to go to my doctor and get my hips x-rayed because I had hip pain. And then it was like, oh, wait, my hips feel okay, but oh, my back. Oh, wait, my back is feeling okay, my hip. And it was just this pain that was moving around my body. Thankfully, it has left. The MS hug also moves around your body. It's like your chest is being hugged, your head is being hugged really tight. Sensory impairment, sexual dysfunction, which we talked about, tremors, shaking, heat intolerance. When I first had MS, I could not take hot showers. There are some people, though, who have intolerance to cold showers, so they can only take hot showers. Weakness, I'm not as strong as I used to be. You know, my wife who does everything around the house is doing something. I can help, I can hold, but I don't have the strength that I used to have. Again, you might say, oh, you're a 65-year-old man. Yeah, I expect there to be a degree of degeneration, but mine is more than other 60, 65-year-old people I know who don't have MS. Difficulty speaking, you see how I stumble over some of the words, try to make a joke about it, but I'm not as articulate as I used to be. Difficulty swallowing, dry mouth, hormonal issues for women with MS, inappropriate affect, emotional incontinence, involuntary emotional expression disorder, mood issues, may seem like they're bipolar, and other issues that I either haven't read about or haven't met people who have. And again, people with MS don't have all of this. People with MS have different issues. Snowflake disease, it's different for each of us. So what can be done about MS? Allow me to say, beware of snake oil salespeople, people who say, I've got the cure. There ain't no cure for MS. There are disease-modifying drugs that can reduce the frequency and severity of MS attacks. And like snowflake disease, the drugs work differently for different people. I know people who are on DMDs, disease-modifying drugs, who are saying, I'm feeling better. I know other people who are on the same drug who are saying, I feel nothing. So the DMDs can result in less damage to the brain and spinal cord over time, slowing the progression of the disability, but they might not do that. When I received my initial MS diagnosis 22 years ago, there were not a lot of DMDs on the market. Now, what there were, the very few, were supposed to increase the time between hits and reduce the severity of the hits. But they all had potential side effects that sounded worse than the MS hits. Take this drug. You won't be hit as hard with your MS. You'll have a little more time between hits. By the way, you will have this side effect, that side effect. You might feel like this. We have to test your blood every month. If we see certain conditions, we have to take after drug. So I chose to roll the dice and did not go on a DMD. I'm not saying that you should do what I did. There have been many developments in meds over the last 20 years. So I'm not saying go med-free. Discuss DMDs, discuss the options with your neurologist, and make an informed decision. Depending on your symptoms, your doctor may recommend a particular med and/or therapy, like a physical therapy, to help you combat your symptom. So there are DMDs to help you combat the MS. And then if you are manifesting certain symptoms, there may be drugs you have to take or therapies you have to do to combat them. Like I have had a headache. I can't say I have headaches. I have had one headache. It's been about 5 years now. And my neurologist has recommended various drugs and vitamin therapies that haven't helped at all. I'm now using a new injectable drug once a month. I've done it twice. I will do it a third and I believe fourth time. I've been told it takes at least 3 times with this drug before you start to feel any different. So we'll see if it helps the head. 5 years, headache. When I initially had it, was like a 3 or 4 on a scale of 1 to 10. Then it jumped to like a 20, literally knocked me on my ass. Had to go into emerge. That's when they thought I had vertigo. Test for vertigo, no, you don't have it. Oh my gosh, it's the MS. It has settled down now to about 5, 6, or 7, depending on the time of day. Anyway, so everybody with MS has something. Snowflake disease, we all have different some things. MS and diet. When I was first diagnosed with possible MS, I had only had one hit. I went on the Fit for Life diet because my energy was low. I had fatigue. Fit for Life is a book. Basically, you have fruit for breakfast and you don't combine protein and carbohydrates. You don't have chicken and potatoes. You would have chicken in a salad or potatoes and broccoli. You know how on Thanksgiving you eat turkey, mashed potatoes, squash, salad, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and then you just want to pass out? So there is a feeling that combination of protein and carbohydrates causes tiredness. And the diet helped boost my energy between my bouts of fatigue. I still had the fatigue, but over time I felt more energetic. I'm no longer on the Fit for Life diet, although I still use elements of it, but my fatigue has passed. Weak, dizzy, headaches, but not fatigued. A diet that is being touted these days is something called the Wahls Protocol diet. And there is a book called the Wahls Protocol. I confess I was skeptical about the diet initially. However, Dr. Terry Wahls was diagnosed with MS in the year 2000. Her back and stomach muscles weakened to the point that she needed a tilt and recline wheelchair. Conventional medical treatments, remember this is a doctor, conventional medical treatments that she knew about failed her. She felt she'd be bedridden for life. She began to treat herself with a nutrient-rich paleo diet, which she gradually refined over time. She's now out of her wheelchair and riding her bike. So is it a cure? Or at least something that's helpful? There are double-blind tests taking place as I speak. We'll find out more about the Wahls Protocol diet. I know people on the diet. Their results have not been as remarkable as Dr. Wahls, but they say they feel the diet is helping helping them keep their symptoms at bay. So I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you about it. Google Wahls protocol diet and read more about it. Does it work? Is it a cure? The jury is still out. We don't know, but it certainly has helped Dr. Wahls and people I know who are on it feel like they're being helped by it. MS and work. I know people with MS who can no longer work. I'm one of them. Hey, it looks like I'm working now. I'll tell you a bit more about that in a moment. And I know people with MS who can work with time off for particularly bad days. I was a freelance writer and writing trainer, conducting workshops on business and promotional writing, writing for the web, writing social media content, and the business of freelance writing. I do little to no writing for clients anymore. While I don't have major cognitive impairment, it's difficult to absorb information from clients, to think about what they want to say, and then to say it. I am able to write my books and do my webinars. These are things I know about. Having difficulty doing stuff for clients. And as for teaching, I couldn't stand in front of a class for 15 minutes, let alone a half day, full day, or over 2 days anymore. I do some training webinars where I get to sit on my butt and talk into the mic and display my PowerPoint as I'm doing now. And I have written several books since the onset of my MS, including my memoir, The Accidental Writer. You can read about it in my 21 other books, some written before my MS, some written subsequent to my diagnosis at paullima.com/books. So there are things I can do and there are things I can't do. Now I'm 65, I'm retired, but the fact is I wasn't going to retire. MS has forced me into about 80 or 90% retirement. So I do stuff like this because I can do it. It's my way of attempting to give back to the community. If you go to paullima.com/MS, you'll see I have other video blogs and podcasts about MS, and I have a variety of free and pay what you can videos. Tell your story, how to write memoirs and autobiographies, how to develop your business vision, find corporate work if you're a freelancer, how to become an effective and efficient business email writer, how to write effectively and efficiently about any topics, how to write a nonfiction book in 60 days. So there are some things I can do, and I do them some for free. All my MS blogs and podcasts are absolutely free. A lot of my videos are pay what you can. In other words, if people want to take them for free, they can. Some of them, my email writing one is run through a site, and it's I think it's like $20. Just trying to make a little bit of money with what I can do to supplement my pension income. Anyway, enough about me. MS and relationships. I don't understand couples where the healthy partner dishes the ill partner. I mean, what happened to for better or for worse? And what happened to in sickness and in health? I know it's got to be frustrating for the healthy partner if the sick partner can't keep up. I know it's got to be, my MS has to be frustrating for my wife. She has to take care of the house, do the cooking. I do what I can do. We used to split the dog walking. I will walk the dog twice a day because I can if she's busy. I mean, she loves walking the dog and she will try to walk the dog in the mornings when she can. But if one of Lynn's friends invites her out for dinner, to go to the theater or a movie or a book club, I say go. I'm sick. It doesn't mean that Lynn's life has to come to an end. I can read, stream a movie, play words with friends, make myself scrambled eggs and toast for dinner when Lynn is out. We've reached an accommodation. I'm not saying Lynn likes the fact that I'm sick. I sure as hell don't like it. But she's not leaving just because I'm ill. We're partners. We do what we can. Lynn broke her leg, and for, 2-3 weeks, I did all the cooking. Now, we're fortunate. I didn't have the MS that I have now. Didn't have the symptoms that I have now. Was I going to walk out on somebody with a broken leg and say, I'll come back when you're feeling better? Hell no. In sickness and in health, for better or for worse. But I understand, you healthy folks who may be watching this, that it's got to be frustrating if your sick partner can't keep up. A woman with MS, she said her husband yelled at her, I didn't ask for this. As if she had asked for this. Now, he was frustrated. He was angry. He was pissed off. He said something hurtful. They are getting along better now. So I understand that frustration. And hell, if you can't put up with the sick partner, if you're going to make their life even more miserable, then you might as well leave. And to the person with MS, all I can say is, thank goodness they're gone. But I hope that doesn't happen. I hope if you're sick and have a partner, your partner is loving, caring, and understanding. And if you're the partner of somebody who's sick, please be loving, caring, and understanding. They didn't do this to themselves. They didn't ask for it. They have it. They need help and assistance. I'm not saying that you have to like it if your partner is sick. I am saying you have to deal with it. Or leave. Whatever you do, don't make their life any worse than it is. Please. Anyway, that's me ranting again. MS and die. MS doesn't kill you, but it can cause people with MS to die prematurely, sometimes due to their MS, often due to MS symptoms. Somebody I know who had MS was in a wheelchair, and he died of a lung condition. He spends his life lying in bed or sitting in the wheelchair, and that had an impact on his lungs. So did he die from MS? No. But did he die because of his MS? Yes. Researchers have concluded the risk of early death is double for people with MS. One study concluded the most common cause of death was the MS itself, or complications related to the disease. So, what is an early death? Is it a year, 2, 10, 15? Again, Snowflake Disease, it's different for everybody. I know a lot of people with MS who are in their 50s, mid-50s, early 60s, mid-60s. They're alive. And other than the MS, they're pretty healthy. But there's a good chance that they will die a couple of years before they should have died. And let's face it, we're all going to die. Hell, I had a niece. She was 45. She died, not from MS, but from H1N1, I think it's called. She had 2 kids, both under 5. So I'm not crying and whining about what MS does to us. There's just absolutely no point in comparing MS to any other illness, or to compare any other illness to any other illness. We all have to deal with the cards we are dealt. I have MS. So I'm talking about MS. Which leads me to my final points. Sometimes you have to let go of the picture of what you thought your life would look like and learn how to find joy in the life you're actually living. I'm not living the life that I thought I would live anymore. I am working hard to find joy, meaning, purpose in the life that I'm living. You have to play the hand you've been dealt, not the one you wish you had been dealt. You know, I got a losing hand. I'm not going to win in this poker game. I can't dream up a better hand and win. That doesn't mean you give up, give in, or capitulate. In poker, well, I'll take 2 more cards. Maybe you end up with a better hand. It means you take care of yourself as best you can. You need to understand your limitations and be the best you can be under the circumstances. You have circumstances. What can you do for yourself under those circumstances? Don't give up, give in, or capitulate. Be the best you can be. I knew a man who loved to play volleyball. MS put him in a wheelchair. He continued to play volleyball until MS took the use of his arms. When that happened, he found other, more cerebral things to do. Sure, he'd rather be playing volleyball. He loved the game, but he couldn't play it anymore. What's he going to do? Sit on the couch? Dig a hole and bury himself? He extended his run as long as he could, playing volleyball in a wheelchair. But when MS said it was time to move on, what could he do? He moved on in the best way possible under the circumstance, with support, and this is crucial, of family and friends. Ladies and gentlemen, some people with MS get really freaking sick. They need support. You're healthy. Support them. Love them. Help them. If you can't do that, then go. In other words, don't make their life any worse than it is. If I got so sick that my wife couldn't help me anymore, the agreement is I would move into a home. It's not that she wouldn't help me out of cruelty. She couldn't help me because of age or because she had an illness. I have to find some way of taking care of myself. But if you are healthy and watching this and you know someone with MS, please love them. Please be kind to them. Please support them. They're doing the best they can under the circumstances. Or if you have MS and you're not doing the best you can under the circumstances, please dig deep. Find joy, purpose, meaning, energy to do the best you can do under your circumstances. In other words, it takes both parties working together to make a life. You may not have MS, but if you're acquainted with somebody who has it, you have a choice. Abandon that person or support that person. It's as simple as that. I've been abandoned by some friends. Hey, they were only friends. They didn't know me anything. I've been supported by some friends. I've been supported by my family members as best they can. They have their own families to take care of. I have been supported by Lynn. I am always surprised when I meet people with MS who have been abandoned by friends, family, and acquaintance. I guess I just don't understand it. They can't keep up. They can't be as fun as they used to be. So you abandon them? What I suggest is you change your relationship with them. MS and any other chronic disease says as much about those who have the disease as it does about the person about the people who don't have the disease. What kind of person are you, whether you have MS or not? What kind of person do you want to be, whether you have MS or not? My suggestion is be the best person you can be under the circumstances. I'm not asking you to like it or to celebrate it. I'm asking you to find a way to deal with it, to find a way to play the hand you're dealt. What other choice is there? You don't have a choice about what you can do physically, or you have physical limitations, but you have a choice of how you can be mentally. Don't give up that choice. Want to sit on the couch and die? Maybe it's me and the people with MS that I know, but we choose not to do that. I know a guy who builds doll houses. He's been doing it for a long time, pre-MS and post-MS. Post-MS, it takes him longer to do, but he still does it. He does the best he can. You don't have a chronic disease. You get to choose how you will be, both physically and mentally. You get to choose how you will be around others with limited choices. You want to tell them that they're faking it? Hey, that's your choice. But what does that say about you? What the hell does that say about you if you say to somebody with the disease, it's all in your fucking head? Sorry, excuse my French. I just know too many people who have been told that. What does that say about the person who says that? Not much of a person. Dig deep. Find your humanity. Be kind, supportive, and loving, because that too is your choice. And that too says a hell of a lot about you. So you have choices. There are limitations, but within those limitations, you have choices. If you have MS, the limitation is your disease. If you're the partner of somebody with MS, the limitation is your partner's disease. But you have choices within those limitations. No matter your state of health, you have no choice but to play the cards that life deals you. How you play them, you have a choice. But these are the cards you've been dealt. Curl up in a ball, never get off the couch. What good would that do you or those around you? Maybe you don't have the energy or the strength to get out of bed or off the couch. If that's you, then you have my sympathies. I wish you well and some relief from whatever ails you. Are there cognitive things you can do if your physical limitations are that severe? I knew a guy in a wheelchair. We'd go to meetings every couple of weeks. We lived in the same neighborhood. We'd leave the meetings and head off in different directions. I'd be heading for home. He'd be heading for the beer store. No, he was not an alcoholic, but he liked to have the occasional beer, so he'd buy himself a six-pack. Couldn't walk. His arms were starting to go. But by golly, he could still go get a beer, and that's what he did. If you can't work, can you do some volunteer work? Can you find a hobby or two? Can you play games, especially games that challenge you mentally? Can you read? Can you write? Can you blog? Can you make video blogs? Do what you can do to keep on keeping on. Be as well as you can be under whatever circumstances you are dealing with. Whether you're the person with MS, whether you're the friend, partner of somebody who has MS. Do what you can do. Be the best you can be under the circumstances that you are dealing with. You have a choice. That is your choice, to be or not to be, as Shakespeare said. With that in mind, thanks for listening to me drone on. This has been my beginner's guide to MS. Feel free to visit my website, paullima.com, PAULLIMA.com. You can read about the stuff I do or try to do. And if you have any questions, email paullima.com@gmail.com. I may not be able to answer your questions. I'm not a doctor or a medical practitioner in any way, shape, or form, but I may be able to tell you where to go to look for answers. I've done as much research as I can do into this strange, bizarre illness. And I always enjoy reading comments that people have to make. So send me an email and know that you're making this sick person smile. I got a message from somebody who watched my video blog. And again, if you want my book, Everything You Need to Know About MS, please email msandmebook@gmail.com with the subject line MS PDF, and I will send you a free copy of the PDF, Everything You Wanted to Know About MS. Again, thanks for listening. Be as well as you can be. Do as well as you can do. Thank you. Take care. Have a good day.